Hello again. It's me, Dr. Miller. I know. You were hoping it was somebody else, but it isn't. Well, today we're going to read that article that we talked about yesterday. Talking about failure is crucial for growth. Here's how to do it right. And the author is Oset Babur. And it was written August 17th, 2018. So 2 years ago, before all the COVID-19 insanity took place. Let's see what this person has to say. We've all flopped on a big presentation. After weeks of careful practice and preparation, you feel ready to knock it out of the park. I wonder what that means. Knock it out of the park. Knock it out of the park. But the day comes, and for whatever reason, every joke seems to fall flat. Can a joke fall? I think they're using figurative language here because these phrases do not mean what they are telling me. Jokes can't fall, and knock it out of the park doesn't make sense when I'm talking about making a presentation. Oh, I see. Yep, they're like idioms. They don't really mean what they say. Knock it out of the park is a baseball reference. If you hit the ball out of the park, it's a home run, and a home run is a really good thing. So, after weeks of careful preparation and practice, you feel ready to hit a home run. You feel ready to do super well. But the day comes, and for whatever reason, every joke seems to fall flat. You want your jokes to get the whole room laughing, and if it falls flat, that means nobody's laughing, so that's not good. Okay, so you're making this presentation, and it's not going well. You bumble through all your numbers, and your technology seems to be working against you, kind of like our technology works against us. Just when you're in the best part of the presentation, kaboom, it either disconnects or there's some sort of a failure. Okay, so we're talking about making a preparation but not doing really well, so a failed presentation. The embarrassment and blow to your self-worth can manifest in unlimited ways. Manifest. Come into being. Okay, so it can start to grow and then boom, it's there. And sometimes it feels like it's manifesting in all ways, and our bodies response to failure can even mimic that of physical pain. Bradley Statz, an associate professor at University of North Carolina's Kenan-Flagler Business School, writes in Never Stop Learning, Stay Relevant, Reinvent Yourself, and Thrive. We respond that way, and then we feel bad about responding that way, and so we try to cover it up instead of learn from it. So we're back to that, learning from our mistakes. We shouldn't be ashamed of the reaction. It's natural. Okay, so I feel terrible because my presentation went bad, but it's okay. It's really okay because we're going to learn from it. We're not going to do it again. Even though most people prefer to process failure internally and quickly move on for fear of causing a scene or seeming unprofessional, I've been known to react badly sometimes. Taking the time to reflect on and communicate about unwanted outcomes can go a long way in creating more congenial, trusting, and ultimately productive workplaces. Congenial is a word that means friendly, more friendly. Okay, and you know that because we're talking about trusting and productive. And then, so we started, what's the least professional word? Congenial. Just means good relationship between all of the people that work there. But first we have to talk about it. So this whole first paragraph is talking about what to do when when you have a failed experience, okay? Like possibly you really bombed the SAT or one of the other tests that you had to take. That's okay. It's okay. You don't have to feel bad about it. I mean, you do, because that's natural, but you can talk about it and talk about which parts were more difficult than the others, so that you learn from that mistake and then you can do better the next time. Because there's got to be a next time. That's what life is about, the next time. So this particular article is already chunked for us. Remember chunking, turning it into smaller pieces, and this one is already done for us. So we've got this next section is talking about failure 101. Whenever they put 101 after something, they mean basic. It's like college level class when you're a freshman. So 101 means basic. After failing publicly or privately, it can be nerve-wracking to initiate a conversation about what happened with your coworkers or your boss, particularly if you're still in the early stages of your career and you don't feel confident that you have a lot of professional capital to work with. So as you guys are getting into the workplace, if the boss gives you a big project and it doesn't go quite the way that you planned, you might feel like, oh, he's going to fire me, but maybe not. Maybe taking the initiative and talking to your coworkers and your bosses about what went wrong might be helpful. That's all this article is really saying. Okay. I believe that almost everyone can benefit from sharing and hearing another perspective, said Tasha Eurich, a Denver-based organizational psychologist. So these people that they're getting to make these statements are kind of experts in the field of talking about failure. That's why they're quoted in this article. Sorry. It's healthy to ask about what went wrong in a meeting. You have to engage other people in that process of learning, because we learn when we falter. Then our brain grows, we get that new knowledge, and the next time that we do something, it works out better. That's the plan. It can be tempting to hide behind the safety blanket of Slack or email, but having face-to-face conversations around failure can be especially effective in building stronger relationships among colleagues. The ability to convey tone, body language, and other non-linguistic reactions often plays a positive and humanizing role in these conversations. And all of that is lost in email, Mr. Stats said. So now they're recommending that you don't do it through email. You don't ask your questions and talk about your failure through email. You do it face-to-face, because that way they see that you're sincere and you get to read their reactions to know that they're sincere. So all of that is helpful in the learning process. It's also worth putting thought into how you frame the incident. A long-winded venting session can be cathartic, but it also has the potential to sound self-centered or melodramatic. So that sentence right there, perfect, a lot of big words. What it means is a long-winded, you go on forever, venting session. Can I just vent to you? Can I just unload what I'm feeling? Can be cathartic, make you feel better, but it also has the potential to sound like you're a whiny brat and you're being too dramatic about it. So keep it in perspective. Don't go on and on and on, except to your mother or your significant other, because that's their job, is to listen to you go on and on. When you're talking to the people you work with, keep it professional and do things like, instead of telling a story of how horrible things went, frame it as, can you help me with this? Mr. Stats said, we see that when you ask others questions, most people actually want to help. He added that by asking a question, we activate in them that spirit of helping. So if you present it to your coworkers and your boss as, please help me to do better next time, because that really didn't go as well as I planned. And that inspires them to help you to be more successful next time, as opposed to you saying, oh, that was terrible, what did I, blah, 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 and then people just want to run away from you. Oh, I hear the phone ringing, and they get away from you. It goes both ways. When our coworkers ask us questions, we're more likely to develop a positive opinion of them because we see that they're humbly turning to us as someone they perceive as having valuable knowledge, according to Mr. Stats. When that happens, you actually take it as a compliment, he said. Okay, so there are two more sections. Use your failures to make friends and fail productively. Who was it that said fail big? Oh, that's right, Denzel. Okay, so be thinking of that as you're reading the next 3 sections, and then come back and we will go over, where is it? There's a chart that we need to fill in. Okay, so after you read the next sections, we have this chart to fill in. Talking about failure is crucial for growth. The central 2 ideas that we determined yesterday, one was failure and one was growth. So see if you can find, if you look at your graphic organizer, under central idea failure, I have one example. You need to find another example. And under central idea growth, there's one example, and you need to find one more example. The example that you find will be an exact quote from the article. Okay, so go ahead and do that. Then there's two questions. How do the central ideas that we determined was both failure and growth, how do they develop and build on each other? So look back at the article and see how the author intertwined. He didn't just talk about failure and he didn't just talk about growth. How did he get them both to support each other so that you know that it's the central idea is both of them? And then number 2, what does the term knock it out of the park mean as it is used in the text? And we already talked about that. So remember, it's figurative, not literal. I'll see you in a few minutes.